CM Punk has been terminated from his AEW contract, leaving him as a free agent and his future in the world of professional wrestling up in the air. With Survivor Series taking place in his hometown of Chicago, Triple H picked up the phone and buried the hatchet with Punk, leading to his unthinkable return to the company. After all, what's best for business goes above all else. Punk would sit down cross-legged in the ring and soak in the CM Punk chant. He may be a pariah to many, but in Chicago, he will always be one of their own.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
As simple as that. 6 infamous words that shook the wrestling world to its core. Punk was back in the WWE for one reason and one reason only. There was something he never got to do when he was here last time, something he felt he deserved then and now, something he was still hung up on, and that was of course the main event of Wrestlemania. Punk would double down on this, coming out on Raw and talking about an ironclad contract that guaranteed him the main event of Wrestlemania. Just 2 days prior at the Survivor Series post-press conference, Seth Rollins had doubled down on his own opinions about CM Punk being back in his locker room, saying he better not try any of that BS over here or it's on site, blurring the lines between his genuine feelings and sports entertainment. Still world champion Rollins would confront Punk on Raw.
You're delusional. This contract doesn't exist. The only way you're gonna main event WrestleMania is against me, because I am the main event, the revolutionary, the visionary, and this is Monday Night Rollins.
Rollins also saying, listen to the crowd, Punk, we're not in Chicago anymore. Punk, getting mixed reactions at this point given his previous drama, would fire back at Rollins.
You're right, Seth. We're not in Chicago anymore, but I don't care about what these people think. They're entitled to boo, cheer. It doesn't make a difference in me getting what I'm owed, and that's the main event, so I guess I'll see you there.
The sentiment shared by a lot of people in the locker room is that they weren't happy to see Punk back, most namely his first feud back with Kevin Owens, who said he also didn't want Punk here.
You've always been a locker room cancer, a toxic piece of garbage no one wants to deal with, so I'm not surprised they let you go, but I'll be damned if I'm gonna let you destroy my locker room too.
Punk's return match against Owens would see him picking up the win, leading to Adam Pearce making it official for the New Year's episode of Raw. It would be Owens and Zayn defending against Punk if he could find someone who, quite frankly, didn't hate his guts. Bizarrely, Luke Gallows would enter to join Punk's side. No matter how far you go, you never forget your allegiance to the SES. AJ Styles and Carl Anderson would then emerge to try reel Gallows back in, distracting the challengers and costing them their title shot. Gallows would reassure them that he was just helping out an old friend, but Styles wasn't having any of it. Styles would confront Punk, telling him to stay out of their business because you don't want none. Both men would be in the final 2 in the 2024 Royal Rumble match, with Gallows marching down to ringside, presumably to stick it to Punk and side his loyalties with Styles once and for all, but instead he would turn on Styles, helping eliminate him so Punk could win his first Rumble. The revitalized Straight Edge Society was born. Over the coming weeks, Gallows would repledge himself to one nation under Punk, indivisible, with integrity and sobriety for all, even managing to manipulate Eric and Ivar from the Viking Raiders to pledge their allegiance and take a new path in their career. A man in Eric, mind you, who has straight edge tattooed on him, so he didn't even need to think twice. Eric and Ivar would take out Styles and Anderson before their match at Elimination Chamber, sidelining them both. Punk and Styles would eventually have the one-on-one match that everyone was clamoring for, but it would be down the line. Not just yet. The Straight Edge Society's Night of Menace wouldn't stop there, as Punk would deliver a GTS to Rollins after his Elimination Chamber match, choosing him for WrestleMania, muttering the words, "I didn't forget." On Raw, Punk would say,
I hate this idea that you're the best, because you're not. I'm the best in the world. No, Punk, you were the best in the world. Were, past tense, as in you belong in the past. You're not even the best in this ring right now, you weren't the best over there, and you sure as hell aren't here. But congrats on starting your little club of brainless misfits again. As soon as they realize what a cancer you are to them, they're gonna drop you just like everybody else did.
This was getting personal between Rollins and Punk, if it wasn't already.
I'm not a locker room cancer, I present the truth, and sometimes people can't handle that. The straight edge society represents truth in its purest form. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do drugs. My addiction is wrestling, and at Wrestlemania, I'm gonna wrestle rings around you to finally take what's mine.
Punk delivering a final Sermon on the Mount, saying,
Rollins is not the second coming of Jesus. I am. He is an antichrist, and the sooner I've washed my hands of him, the better.
And Punk's prophecy would prove to be correct, main eventing night 1 of WrestleMania, and with the help of the new SES, becoming world champion. However, in the post-night 1 press conference, Punk would once again not be able to handle himself, having some choice words about being the main event of night 1 after a question triggered him to share his thoughts.
I don't know, does it count? I'd love to feel like it does, but this company loves to pretend like there are multiple main events. That's fucking bullshit. Just to put it plainly, there's one main event, and it's who goes on last. And if there's multiple nights, me and Seth should have been the main of night 2. I don't care. We have a better story than he does, but I'm not the one making calls around here, so I guess I'll just have to prove myself again.
Triple H would try to calm down the situation.
Alright, well, it's a bit of a touchy subject. Maybe don't ask about that kind of thing.
As he would try to laugh off the tense situation with the press conference attendees.
No, really, I'd be delighted to know why the guy selling more merch than anyone since he came back isn't main eventing night 2. Let's just get it out in the open, Hunter. You still have it out for me. And all that shit you said last November was a lie.
Punk would get in the face of Triple H, and Triple H would scream back at him, telling him to sit back down or go cool off. As Punk walked out, Hunter, muttering under his breath,
I knew this was a bad idea.
WWE would then announce on Monday morning that CM Punk had been suspended for 1 month without pay, blurring the lines between real life and sports entertainment. Rollins would come out on the Raw after Mania to a mixture of being serenaded and thunderous CM Punk chants. Rollins would simply soak in his song, cackle, and say, I told you so, before being laid out by the straight edge society, who were so brainwashed by Punk's beliefs they would do his bidding even when he was absent. Triple H on the Ariel Helwani show saying he had given Punk a chance but couldn't trust him to be world champion flat out, believing he gave Punk everything he wanted and it still wasn't enough. WWE moves fast. We have to respond correctly and not let anybody, not just Punk, think this kind of behavior is okay, and this is us doing so. Triple H announcing that it would be Rollins getting his rematch against a returning AJ Styles at Backlash a month after WrestleMania. Styles would emerge victorious until CM Punk would return holding the World Championship face to face with Styles, who was now World Champion too.
Look, I don't know what it is about me being in this kind of situation, but I've been here before, twice actually, and I know, well, let's just say it, I have the balls to say things that nobody else has the balls to say. But that's neither here nor there. It got me suspended, slapped on the wrist, and now you're parading around as the fake world champion. Listen, nah, I'm just gonna go ahead and say this. I earned this. I am the champion. I am the phenomenal AJ Styles. Especially after that crap you pulled a few months ago with Gallows and you and your goons took me out, I'd say we're about even. Even or not, this match is going to happen at Money in the Bank, and I'm gonna walk out again on that show, but this time I'm gonna be carrying 2 belts instead of 1, as I scream that I am the best in the world. It's a great dream you have, Punk, but sadly for you, I'm better than the best in the world. I am the phenomenal AJ Styles.
Styles and Punk would tear the house down at Money in the Bank, a match that had everyone talking. WWE had mastered one thing at this point, and it was that controversy creates cash. Punk's run constantly blurring that line between real life and sports entertainment. Punk and Styles would feud into SummerSlam, with Punk eventually dropping the belt to Gunther later that year, indirectly leading to the breakup of the straight edge society, who no longer believed in Punk's beliefs. Punk would take some time off and return in the 2025 Royal Rumble, but the winner of last year's match would be eliminated by a familiar face, who was now in the WWE, MJF.
Hey bud, fancy seeing you here.
Jokingly shouted MJF. We've got a lot of unfinished business, you and I, Max. Everybody knows it, but out of respect to you, I'll extend my hand and instigate a fresh start. What? A fresh start? What happened to you, man? That's right, this is PG Punk all over again. This is sad. You're like a dog who's been neutered, and now you're towing the company line like a good little boy. Well, I'm sure you don't want to lean any more into the trend, suspended CM. Well, it's great to see you ain't changed even a little bit, so I'll extend my hand in a different way. Punk would begin brawling with MJF, picking right up where they left off over there, the inspired against the idol. Punk and MJF would share tensions and continue to cross paths heading into WrestleMania 41 in none other than Punk's hometown of Chicago. It would be announced after the Elimination Chamber that, of course, CM Punk would be the headliner for this year's Hall of Fame class of 2025, to the public disagreement of MJF. Punk would come out and hit him with a GTS. Didn't anybody ever teach you to respect your elders, Maxie? Max would throw down the following challenge.
Now, my comments this past week were not in any way negating CM Punk going into the Hall of Fame. Hey, once upon a time, nobody was a bigger Punk guy than me. But not anymore. Ooh, yeah, I don't think so. But each to their own. There are far worse people in the Hall of Fame. Of course, it is a bit insane that we're celebrating a man who has put more minutes into being suspended than actually wrestling in the last few years, but that's neither here nor there. It's clear to me, Punkster, that you're riding off into the sunset. You're the dog that isn't quite up to snuff anymore, so allow me to take you out back and finish the job.
Punk would accept Max's challenge, trading in even more verbal barbs for one of WrestleMania's biggest non-title matches. Punk against MJF in a no-holds-barred match would see him putting MJF over in Chicago, setting Maxwell Jacob Friedman up for the run of a lifetime, which would see the now 30-year-old go on to win the world title and feud with the likes of LA Knight, The Miz, Logan Paul, Carmelo Hayes, Seth Rollins, and Cody Rhodes, among others, as Punk, while not officially retired yet, would finally be where he belongs in WWE's Hall of Fame.